I'm Lauren Bair. I am a registered nurse, an IFBB Fitness Pro, and an online coach. My husband and I own Bair Aesthetics. So we specialize in bodybuilding, but we cover basically anything, lifestyle, anything, as far as medical as well too. A majority of our coaches are all healthcare professionals or dietitians. So we're really big on educating everybody on the proper ways to go about dieting and the healthiest ways.
So obviously it's there's a lot of different things that I want to talk about, but because of the uniqueness of what you just said, that a lot of the coaches are also healthcare professionals. And I think that there's a lot of times a disconnect between these two industries of healthcare and I guess generally just fitness, right? So
Yeah.
for you, obviously with your healthcare backgrounds, how do you almost like bridge that gap, not just for the coaches, but also for the clients and for people to see the trust and see how these two things are interlocked if you let them become interlocked?
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like a lot of people don't realize that dieting or even trying to build muscle and build size, a lot of it does stem down to a scientific meaning and background to it. I think just like when bodybuilding first started, I mean, this was years and years and years ago, there really wasn't all these different approaches that there are now. It was kind of like you followed a meal plan, you ate the same foods, and you did a lot of cardio and you lifted, and that was about it. But a lot of people don't realize that that could lead to just so many different things, whether that is just an unsteady mindset or health issues. Because we can, our bodies, if we're only eating chicken, rice, broccoli for every meal for weeks on end, months on end, we can form intolerances, we can have some issues. So why Bare Aesthetics is what it is, and it definitely has taken time, and I still feel like there's room to grow and educate others that much more. We really, really wanted to be the ones to highlight that okay, yes, you can eat broccoli, chicken, rice and have these meal plans, but essentially variety at the end of the day is going to be one of the most important things. But then also we analyze blood work. We're analyzing, any underlying health issues, because if there's things like that, that's obviously going to affect the way that you're responding or the results that you're going to see. So we really try to streamline that healthcare side of things with the nutrition and training and also mindset, because you kind of need that full picture in order to go far or be successful with it.
hmm it kind of goes back to I think it's the YMCA, right? Who does like their slogan is like mind, body, spirit, I think is what it is. And it's kind of in like the same way, like if one thing is out of balance, it makes the rest of the outcome slightly off, right? I mean, and especially when you get into the competitive side of it with like the how important the mindset is and how important and like stress management, like in a lot of ways, like there are exterior stressors, but how you choose to like deal with a lot of that stuff too is your own like mental training and your own mindset, and like that goes into then the hormone side of things, and then that obviously goes into a lot of different aspects. But if one of those things is off, like it just another, with lack of a better term, screws everything else up.
Yeah.
It's really important, I think, for people, especially like someone getting into it, whether it be just fitness or bodybuilding or whatever, competitive side of it you want to go down. But it's really important to just understand that like it's not just about I'm going, like you said, I'm going to eat chicken, rice, and broccoli, and I'm going to train every day as hard as I can. There's so much more behind it. Are you a personal trainer, online fitness coach, or gym owner on the verge of burnout? Are you wanting to grow your fitness business but can't add more hours to your hectic schedule? Introducing Trainer Revenue Multiplier, the premier wealth creation system for fitness professionals that helps you earn more and work less. Visit www.trainerrevenuemultiplier.com today to schedule your free business accelerator session. If you're serious about taking your business to the next level, schedule your call today.
There is a lot behind it, and that's where you're going to hear the variations of stories from athletes, whether they had a good experience or they didn't. And I think it all stems down to that back end side of things, whether it's the communication, the mindset, the health and medical side of things already. I think a lot of us see, people out there on stage and it's like, oh my gosh, I want to do that. But it is a lot of work and you do put your body through a lot and it's an extreme. The sport is definitely extreme. So although, in most people's eyes or a lot of people, it may not be the most healthy sport, there are healthier ways to go about it. The best way that, for anybody that's like considering getting into the sport or is maybe new to it, do your research because there are so many teams and so many trainers and coaches. And it's one of those things like if you don't know, you don't know. So I always encourage anybody that's interested just to do their research when it comes to hiring a coach or a team. And also ask around, like talk to the existing clients, the current clients, and see what their experience is like. I think that that's a really great way to make sure that, you're setting yourself up for the good side of it.
So once again, the side of healthcare usually looks at things through a certain lens, and fitness usually looks at things through a certain lens. How do you find that? How do you find that person? How do you find that coach who's going to meet in the middle? How do you find that coach who's going to be able to not take the extreme of either one, but somehow see like, okay, these are the positives of healthcare. These are the positives and negatives of all sides as well. And we're going to try to throw out the good and only, or throw out the bad and only bring the good from both of these things.
Yeah, no, I love that question. And it's funny, this is like with that experience of healthcare and coaching, but even though like as a registered nurse and I used to work bedside, I've learned through honestly coaching clients and putting myself through it too. I tend to lean more towards the holistic route when it comes to like I like to keep supplements pretty minimal. I don't like to push a lot of supplements. We know what we're doing when it comes to the macronutrients and the cardio and the training and minimal, of course, supplementation. But I think one thing that we're really good at meeting in the middle is kind of realizing too, like, okay, let's talk about medication. There's so many medications out there on the market, but I feel like a lot of like big pharma loves to push a lot of those medications. So I think that where we meet in the middle with that is knowing that, there's a time and place for some, without a doubt, especially depending on, if there's like injuries or surgeries or diagnoses and things of that nature. But we try to kind of bring the holistic side of things into our clients' mindset, maybe things that they didn't even know because most doctors aren't going to be pushing those things. And so that's kind of where we start. And then and it's really funny too, because healthcare, you would think that like nutrition is something that is always being talked about. Not at all. I think my nursing school, we hit like just kind of touched on nutrition just a little bit, but it's like barely what we learn. And the same thing goes for like physicians and doctors. So Dylan, my husband, he's the one that started Bair Aesthetics. He went to school, he went to Ohio State to become a registered dietitian. So, registered dietitian is, able to give out appropriate macronutrients and educate when it comes to just fully nutrition focus. So, it's that medical nutrition side of things integrated in. So, that's exactly why he went to school for that, because unfortunately, there isn't enough education out there when it comes to nutrition. And that's honestly like the foundation of it all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really cool because registered dietitians, in my opinion, are like the highest level of like the fitness world almost, like when it comes to the perception from the outside world. So it's
Mhm.
really cool that there's that out there. It would be really cool as well if there was something for exercise for that as well. I know that there's like a lot of good degrees, and I mean, I have my degree in exercise science, and there's a lot of
Yeah.
good information in that, and there's like strength conditioning that you can get, background in, and exercise physiology and all these things. But it would be cool if that was more integrated into like the healthcare system as well. So people just recognized it as this thing that like, okay, this person I see as an authority, because people I think see registered dietitians as at least somewhat of an authority, right? I mean,
Yeah.
maybe they unknowingly think that their doctor might know more or whatever, and like you're saying, that's probably not the case. And sometimes we look in the wrong direction for advice. But like I said, it would be cool if we had that on the exercise side as well.
Right. No, I know. And Well, especially too, because just like overall in general movement can improve health and improve issues so much. So that's why, it's like maybe there aren't many, but that's why we try to have as big of a voice as we can, even though that might take time. And the same thing goes though for anybody that has those certifications or background in exercise science. I mean, like what I think the top ones is it like is it ISCS or CSCS? What is it?
Yeah, this NSCA, CSCS, the
Yes.
National Academy of Strength Conditioning, or NACS. One of that. I can't remember now, but I know what
I
you're
think like
talking
that's
about.
one of the higher ones as far as like training goes, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of, so there are trainers out there that do that, it's just it just takes time to build that up and make your name known and make the, kind of results and getting the right people underneath you, and then just take time.
Mm-hmm.
And just like there are so many trainers and coaches, there's also so many chiropractors and there's so many um specialists in all those different realms. It's funny that you say that because it's something that we've like naturally done. Granted, we're located here in Arizona, so a lot of what we do, although we have like tons of recommendations and really great sources all spread out just because we are online coaching, so we've just kind of naturally picked that up. That's something that we've like integrated into our team. So to kind of circle back to your question about healthcare needing nutrition, um, we work specially with a nurse practitioner who specializes in hormone therapy and also bodybuilding, yes, but just with any lifestyle thing. So then that way we're able to refer our clients or anybody, like we have the access for anybody to be able to reach out to them who have that specialty to be getting the appropriate blood work, to be getting the appropriate medications and things like that as well too.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing, it's just there's so many. So you have to kind of fine tune and find the ones that understand the lifestyle and understand the sport, because even just lifestyle coaching, it takes a lot for somebody just to even track their macros, be aware of what they're eating, plan their food. We're definitely the outliers in that, whether you do a competition or not. So it's just about finding the right people, same thing like chiropractic and everything like that, that kind of understand that type of lifestyle.
Well, I've never thought about it before, but a lot of times, most of the times, I would say, when you're looking at fitness, the industry of fitness, and you're looking at trainers and coaches, it's interesting because you're going to most of the time see people who are living that lifestyle as well, who are the reflection of what that person coming to them wants to be in some way, right? Like
Yeah.
that's just kind of the way it is. But in the healthcare system, it's really not the norm for that to happen.
And I think it's funny because again, what you said about like the authority or the credibility, I think it's just like you hear nurse, okay, no matter what shape, size, whatever that person looks like, they went to school, they got the education, they got the credential. So it's just like you're a nurse for a reason, doesn't really matter. Whereas like I guess a coach, other than registered dietitian or going through like your training certifications, there's really not much credential when it like anybody literally could be a fitness coach. It's just a matter of if you have the education or just the business background and ethic to be able to build that up and make it something more than just a couple clients. So I wonder if that kind of has something to do with it. I've always said that. I remember when I was bedside, because I used to do night shift. I was 2 years in the NICU. That was when we were living back in Ohio. Loved it. Got so many skills. But I've always said that, like, it's just mind blowing that, like, how unhealthy healthcare workers are, what they're eating in the break room, just not the best lifestyle habits. And I think it's just probably from like the long hours and the horrible, horrible hours. But still not an excuse. I was meal prepping and bringing my food with me. That's when I first like was really like I was in competing at that moment when I
Mhm.
was working night shift, and I would always get comments, "Oh, what are you eating today?" Or, "Oh, you're too healthy for me." Like just it's so crazy. Healthcare you would think would be healthier. But I bet that that's probably why some people don't really view it the same, just because like you kind of, not that you need to compete and you need to look a certain way being a fitness coach, but also like I am a firm believer that you want to, if you're going to talk the talk, walk the walk. And, I think that that's what can make or break you. Maybe I wouldn't say it's everything though. I know some amazing coaches that maybe have never competed, but have a great background in education. But I would say that that does weigh, the way that that coach looks does weigh into it a little bit more too.
You are your own credential. That's kind of that's interesting. Like you're living proof that you do know what you're talking about. And in some ways, like maybe you really don't, but you just have good genetics and that's your lucky kind of thing. But
Well, that's a conversation on its own because I mean I'll put my arms up for like that where it's like it that's the frustrating side of it because there are so many coaches who are maximizing off of just their true genetic potential. They have great glutes. They just naturally are lean all the time, and then they're marketing themselves as a coach. But it's very interesting when you like kind of see into the coaching, like not everything is as perfect as, what they may be marketing it as.
and going back to the healthcare thing and the healthcare workers in general, it's always amazed me since I've heard the stats on, and this is in particular night shift. When I heard the stats on like how detrimental night shift work is, it's always blown my mind. Are you a personal trainer who wants to scale and grow your business online? Have you been coaching online for years, yet don't know how to incorporate online into your current business model? Introducing Trainer Revenue Multiplier, the premier wealth creation system for fitness professionals that helps you earn more and work less. Visit www.trainerrevenuemultiplier.com today to schedule your free business accelerator session. If you're serious about taking your business to the next level, schedule your call today. The Weight Room Podcast is thrilled to announce our new sponsor, Prime Science. They're leaders in harnessing scientific research to revolutionize your fitness journey. With a firm foundation in the latest health sciences, Prime Science offers innovative products to help you achieve and surpass your fitness and health goals. These tools are more than just accessories. They're the result of rigorous scientific research aimed at optimizing your health. Dive deeper into how you can transform your approach to fitness at primescience.co.uk. Trust me, with Prime Science, you're in scientifically sound hands.
Right. And, everybody's going to handle a little bit differently. So that's why I lasted 2 years. I lasted 2 years night shift. I mean, and yeah, like not even just physical health, but mental health as well. The depression rates are through the roof. You're screwing up your circadian rhythm with night shift. It's 312s. That's what's common for a nurse. And then some places will do like 410s. But yeah, 312s is what's standard. But it does. It really impacts just your overall health. I was prepping during that time. And I thought I was I was responding. We were literally doing anything that we possibly could in order for me to drop weight and lean out for my bikini competitions. Because I was bikini back then. And I made it, I did it, but wow, like once I finally did a full prep, like when I was done with night shift and just like normal sleep schedules and everything like that, my progress was completely different. It was so much more effective that prep when I was just sleeping like a normal person and not working that. But no, that's exactly why I only could last two years doing it because it was wearing me down and it was really, really hard. And it's just I feel like it's one of those like standard things that I depending on your unit, depending where you work, of course, there's like part-time options and things like that. Yeah, but for whatever reason, it's always stayed 312s. That's full time.
Also, the hard part of like getting on an office schedule when you're on night shift.
Yeah, and I was so bad at that too. Like most of my like friends that I worked with, my coworkers, they would get home, they would sleep all the way up until they had to get ready for work again and go back in. I could not do that. If the sun was up, I knew I was missing out on the day and I needed to get my workout in and I needed to do my client check-ins. I was doing client check-ins too during that time. So I needed to figure out a time to fit that in. I was maybe sleeping like 4 hours. That was on a good day. So like I would still have some of the day before going back in. It's a lot. It was a lot, but then in ways, I think that I was supposed to go through that in order to help my clients because then I was able to attract a lot of nurses and night shift workers because I was living that and could give, as best feedback and guidance as possible to make night shift or just make healthcare work in general as healthy as possible.
What took you, I can't remember if you mentioned it, what took you away from that and into, I guess maybe was it just the move geographically that moved you out of that, or was it just another desire to do something else?
Yeah, so when I started bedside nursing, this was where also Bair Aesthetics, our team was really picking up, and it was just Dylan as a coach, and maybe we had one other assistant coach back then. And so I could see that the team was growing. He was in over his head, and I was like, like I find such a passion with this. You're a registered dietitian. I'm a registered nurse. Maybe I didn't go to school for the nutrition side of things, but I have the medical background. I live with you. I know you because dietitians can oversee, other healthcare professionals in order to make that as legit as possible. Because I don't think I would ever really coach if I didn't have Dylan, because I don't have that background. I would have to go back to school and get like a completely different certificate or degree if I, wanted to further that. So it's really helpful that he was overseeing everything. So I was like, I would love to coach too. So I started taking on clients, and then now I'm a year bedside, client rosters filling up. I was just finding more passion with that. I was starting to get burnout with night shift. Still finished it out through that second year, but it was where I filled up my coaching roster so much that I just like wanted to just give my all to that. And night shift, even though at that point I was a little bit more part-time considered, it was still taking away from, we travel for competitions and like we try to get to as many of those for our clients as we possibly can. And then the night shift was just, again, very hard. So that's why I decided to like kind of put my notice in at the end of that 2-year mark and just fully trust myself, as scary as it was, to go all in with coaching. We were still in Ohio at the time, but we knew we were wanting to move. So I think that was December of 2019 where I was like done finally, but just fully coaching. And then it was April that following year where we moved out to Arizona. So it was nice because I didn't have anything really holding me back. But then I started missing the nursing side of things a little bit, even though I was still like using that with coaching. So once we got out here, I got certified for aesthetics. So I still do nursing just on my own schedule, but do like Botox fillers and more of like the beauty side of things.
Gotcha. So you moved right after COVID started.
Yes, like so Ohio, I think, was one of the first states to go down during lockdown, February timeframe. Because I remember it was around the Arnold and everybody was freaking out that the Arnold got canceled. And we made the road trip end of March. The day we got here, it was the day before they went, like Arizona went down into quarantine, but we were used to this at this point, but we were like, at least we can quarantine with a pool, good weather, and hiking. We could not do that in Ohio.
Was that a challenge though, when making that move and kind of not putting all your eggs in one basket because you kind of were already doing that anyway? It wasn't maybe a change in that way, but like, what was that early time like during COVID?
So something like we're really, really big on intuition. So like I told you, our coaching, like mind, body, spirit. We are big on just being in tune with that. Something was calling us to come over here. I think it was more so the West Coast mindset when it comes to like nutrition, it is very old school still, like the meal plans and just the old school coaching. And so we knew that we kind of covered our bases of Pennsylvania and Indiana, Ohio, like just all East Coast. So we were like, just something felt right to move over here. And thankfully, we do all online coaching. So it was an interesting time. It was there was no competitions going on during that. So we were trying to like be therapists almost for our clients that were in the middle of their preps that just got pulled out from right underneath them. That was a very interesting time navigating workouts. Pretty much everybody's training at home. So getting back down to the basics of at home workouts and trying to find any equipment that you could because everything was being sold out. It was so interesting. I wouldn't say that there was, I don't know. It was a very even like ebb and flow. Like we of course did lose clients because of the financial side of things and people weren't working. But then we had people that also now were home when they never used to be home for work and they had time to kill. So they needed something to do. So I would say it was pretty even there. It was just more so navigating just like what the new world at that point was. It made you really grateful for the things that you like naturally have. But also I think it was a good wake-up call for a lot of, let's just say, like fitness fanatics. Like I think it was a really good wake-up call, like, hey, a gym's a luxury. Like, okay, we don't have it right now, but we can still be active. There's so many other forms of activity. Like people were like, I'm not in the gym, I'm gonna lose all of my progress. It's like we can still go outside and on a walk, and we could do a little workout in our backyard. We can be body weight for that matter. It's okay. I think it was hard for a lot of people to really wrap their heads around not training in a gym.
In that time, was there a lot of like client expectation management and like figuring out like, hey, maybe like if you were clients before, hey, this is what we were doing and this is what we were expecting, but now we're kind of shifting a little bit because of what's going on. So maybe now we're going to have to kind of have different expectations for what that progress is going to look like.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was a lot of hand holding during that time, but that's kind of just like our natural, that's how Dylan and I are. Like, we're gonna make sure that that client's staying happy and sane. Also, too, now all of a sudden there's no social interaction, there's no human connection. So actually something that we did to integrate that was like something we kept and we still do it to this day, and it was because of COVID. Now that we're talking about that, when we do client check-ins, instead of just typing out an email back, we're really big of Loom videos. So filming like literally like this, like they'll see me sitting here talking, going over their check-in. We started that because of COVID, just so it felt like there was a little bit more human connection and just interaction. And the clients loved it. And honestly, Dylan and I loved it too, because you hear emotion and facial expression. It's so much more than just typing out an email. So that's something that we've just kind of stuck or kept from that.
The Weight Room Podcast is proud to be partnered with Prime Science, our new sponsor and a trailblazer in health technology. Prime Science is dedicated to pushing the boundaries of what's possible in health and fitness through extensive research and scientific validation. Their products are a testament to their commitment to safe, scientifically backed health optimization. To learn more about how Prime Science is redefining fitness with valid science, visit primescience.co.uk. Join us in embracing a future where fitness meets rigorous scientific practice with Prime Science. This podcast is sponsored by Smoking Gun Coffee, a veteran-owned coffee company that strives to give back to those in need. Don't forget to use code TWR10 for a 10% discount at checkout.
Yeah, it's interesting how that period, even though it was very short looking back at it, it felt like forever when we were in it, but how much it changed the fitness industry.
Yeah, and I think more reach. I think that we've always kind of naturally said that too. You can only kind of go so far if you're just sticking to 100% in person. You can just, especially with how social media and just today's day and age is now, like virtual, you have more of a reach, so you can have more of a voice, but you could also make more connections, exactly like you said.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure, looking at it from the coach's perspective with people getting more used to that.
Yeah. I think in ways I think it allowed us to grow and like just kind of keep up with the times. I don't know. I think that it was really great for people. And I know that it's helped in other situations, like let's say like office work and stuff like that. Now meetings can be more virtual versus I feel like now there's a lot of hybrid with different job fields, like just part office, part virtual, and so it's like outside of fitness, I think it was something really good for a majority of different jobs.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned it a little bit with the like the way that the West has kind of a different culture, had a different culture around nutrition and stuff like that. But how have you seen it evolve in the last couple of years from where you are, but also, working with people from all over? How have you just seen it generally evolve? Not just the diet side, but also just the whole fitness side.
Yeah, no. So I would say year after year, because our big thing was trying to educate people on veering away from a meal plan and having more variety with their food and tracking macros, protein, fats, and carbs. I definitely feel like from where BA started back in like 2015 timeframe, give or take, feel like there are a lot more teams and coaches that are advocating the tracking of macros. I wouldn't say that the meal plan outweighs the macros just yet, but it's definitely matching up there. I just feel like just based off of, other friends that I have that are on different teams and hearing what their coaches are doing with them, definitely seems like the education about, we don't need to be on a meal plan to see results, definitely, has taken off over the last several years.
I was talking to Jamie, the founder of Fit Body Fusion, and she was
Yeah,
saying,
I saw that. She's in Arizona too.
all right, I feel like there's a lot of people in Arizona now that I think about it that I've talked to on here, but she was talking about the same thing of like even her highest level athletes like utilizing macros because of how it's
Yeah.
more flexible and how it keeps them, just your mindset I think is different around food when you don't. I mean, I think it's somewhat of like a personality type too. Like sometimes you just want to be like, this is what it's good, this is what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I
Right.
think maybe, and that's where you can have a little bit of that multi way of doing things even within the same client. But
Yep.
when you talk about macros, when you talk about like utilizing a broader range of food, is there something that you do or anything that you do to make your clients like choices, not like limited, but like here's some things that we can look at for these macros. Here's some things we can
Yeah.
look at for fats, for carbs, for proteins. Here's some things that may work well together. Like how do you, even though you give them that freedom, how do you also give them also a little bit of structure?
Yeah. Well, and I mean, at the end of the day, structure is everything, consistency is everything. As much as macros are great, I'm still going to say it's kind of like I view it like an 80-20 rule, where it's like a majority of our foods, we even regardless of tracking or not, we want to incorporate whole foods. So one of the variables that I have all of my clients hit before the fun foods may roll in, every client's gonna have a fiber goal, because if we're hitting our fiber goal, that's showing me, okay, majority of these foods that you're eating are whole foods, or quote unquote healthier foods. Of course, I'm never gonna really eliminate anything, but we have to always be hitting our fiber intake. That shows me like, okay, we're making good choices there. And not to incorporate anything where like you have an intolerance to something or just don't respond well to it. Like a couple times, I'm lactose intolerant, but I had cheese this other day. I'm like, why? Like, why would we do that? I get you track macros, but we don't need that. So I still like am always going to encourage more of that whole food approach. And like I said, like the fiber. And then, of course, like I have some clients that will like go and do like the food intolerance tests and things like that. But that's typically about how I'm going to kind of stay in there. And then also too, because our bodies respond really well with consistency, especially too, like let's say they're in a deficit and you're only working with so many macros, you kind of have to essentially create your own like daily plan or weekly plan for yourself. So I always can look into like my clients, my fitness pals or whatever they use to track, just to make sure like, majority of their food sources are good and they're being pretty consistent. So I'm always like kind of keeping an extra eye in those situations too.
Wonder what that connection is in our brain that makes us like know something bad's going to happen, but also know like we're going to enjoy it now, but that pain is
Yeah.
worth it for the short-term gratification.
Typically like a coping mechanism, I feel like, same thing goes for like somebody that might have a really hard time staying on top of their macros and they overeat and they have like an off day or something like that. I think not that that's the healthiest way to cope. If I ever have any clients that like I can kind of tell, because that's definitely it could be common, or those situations can happen. Communication is just everything in order to kind of express whatever those like emotions and those feelings are, and then coming up with better alternatives to cope, whether that's just maybe going for a walk or a workout or reading a book or, doing something not food related.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned kind of the community there in Arizona. Is that something that you take advantage of?
Yeah, and so we're thankful. Like ever since we moved out here, we have a handful of our own clients that, have made the move too. Not that, I mean, I think it's great that people see like that there is such a great community out here. But then also too, like we can do really great like seminars and events and things like that. We still are a majority, obviously, online and virtual. But one thing that we really like to do, whether that's Arizona competitions or shows or just events, like we'll try to attend as many as possible. But Dylan and I love to travel. So like because we do have a majority, like yes, there's a good group here, but pretty much everything is like equally spread out amongst the states and even internationally. So we do try to like spread ourselves out throughout the states. As the season goes on. And we always like love to encourage like even just like our lifestyle clients because all of our clients mean everything to us. And so we just love the opportunity to, meet up if we're visiting, let's say like Florida or Nevada, I don't know, just any state. Like we just always encourage, anybody to come join and just hang out.
Mhm. How do you manage the like home? This is home versus like you're talking about during the season, you might be traveling to different states, different regions, also cultivating communities in those areas as well. Like, how do you, I guess, manage so many different, and I guess maybe this is even just for online too, but like, how do you manage all of the relationships from that scale?
I think Dylan and I are definitely people. Like we just love making friends and our team is family to us, but also like the people that aren't even on our team, but we meet through just the fitness realm. There's some really, really incredible people, and I can truly and confidently say, like, because of that, like all of my friends are due to the virtual fitness side of things, again with social media or online coaching. Obviously it could be, a lot, but I think that like Dylan and I, we personally like get charged more when we're like interacting with other people and just making memories. Because also too, something that we've noticed is just that, okay, there could be a team, there could be a coach, but what's sometimes missing with some of them, it's just there's no community. It's like, okay, I have this many clients, but nobody knows each other. Like nobody hangs out. Like that's just something like they're family to us, And so we are really, really big on the community side of things because at the end of the day, that's going to make it more fun for the clients and they're going to feel more supported and have the opportunity to make new friends. So that's kind of to us what it's all about. Like, of course, yes, the success of the clients too, but like the community side of things, honestly, is like always been a number one for us.
Is it sometimes hard to separate yourself from that to get some sort of like, I don't want to say like relief, but like just having like a different, this is another aspect of my life. This is another
Yeah.
interest. This is another hobby. Do you find it challenging or do you find it something that is just fun to kind of get out there and do different things?
I definitely would say it's more fun than challenging. Of course, like, we always need at some point like an off switch though. But to me, like coaching and having bare aesthetics, like it never has felt like a job, like it's always been so fun. One thing that, like Dylan and I naturally do, and even though that there are some fitness like of our clients that do it too, but one thing that we love is going to music festivals. Like we love EDM music, we love traveling, or even doing like local shows. So that's kind of like our I don't like to use the word escape, but just like our little break from the work and like, in that environment because it's like great energy, great people, a way to just kind of step away from it and have a little bit more fun without like thinking about work.
It's funny how many bodybuilders say that. And I think I was thinking about it one day and I was like, I wonder if it has to do with like how bodybuilding and then, fitness as well, but on a lesser scale, obviously bodybuilding, but it's so regimented and it's like there's these rules and there's these like in some ways like laws of like bodybuilding you have to follow in regards to like do this to have this result, do this to have this result. And it's so like I don't want to say black and white, but it's somewhat black and white with like
Yeah,
how the body will respond with with certain conditions. But then you look
right.
at like you look at like music festivals and it's almost like the complete opposite. It's almost I don't know if chaos is the right word, but it's like everybody's kind of doing their own thing. There's so much going on. You have, the fun of it. You have all that stuff, and I wonder if it's just like that release of structure, that release of
Yeah.
that regimentedness.
It's so how we always say it is, so also one thing I didn't mention, we also, Dylan and I own like a clothing company called Manifested. So it's all the mind, body, spirit side of things, kind of like more of that mute, like festival side of things too. It's not all rave, but more of just like that type of lifestyle. And how we always say is there's no judgment with the EDM community at all, where bodybuilding is unfortunately it can be pretty judgmental. I mean, if you're competing, you are getting out in front of a panel of judges getting told, oh, you could look this way, you look great, you don't, like it's judgy. So in the music realm and like at these like EDM festivals, everybody's wearing what they want, they're dancing how they want, but there's no judgment. Everybody's just so accepting, no matter your body type, no matter what you wear, no matter what you do. So I think that truly is, of course, the music is great too, but I really think that's why there probably is a handful of like fitness ravers, because it is just this like light, environment where you can like not be told how to look and still feel so confident. Balance is everything. I literally have balance tattooed on my arm. Like balance is everything to me and really what I try to like advocate. I understand, there are some people that, and let's talk about like the Olympians, that are going as far as they possibly can. I've seen where this sport, this realm is just all they talk about. It's all they think about. And if that works for them, totally fine. But I think that I've just always gone in with the mindset, or I even want my clients to go in with the mindset that like, it's not everything, it's such an amazing community and you can learn so much about yourself. But people think like, oh, I want my pro card, but then you get your pro card. Okay, you could win some money at shows. That's about it. Like, I mean, it is a lot more of the self-reward side of things. And then, of course, there's opportunities that can come from doing well and being super successful, of course. So it's kind of about how you maximize off of that. But I really try to teach all of my clients exactly that. Like, there is a lot more. So something that I like to try to get my clients to do, like let's say they're competitors and they're done with their season. Okay, let's try to find other goals, because now we're like always thinking about like, okay, what's the next goal? What's the next thing? And we don't always want to be doing competitions. That's not healthy. But trying to find other like hobbies and activities and goals that are not prep or show focused, so that way it helps integrate that balance.
What would you say that your legacy? What do you want your legacy? What do you want people to, or what do you maybe even want, when you look back, you can say, hey, we did this, we helped to make this change or amplify this change, or we helped to, change the industry in some way. What would you say that you would want that to be?
Yeah, I love that one too. And honestly, just educating everybody on, whatever, finding their balance truly. Like, everybody's version of that is so different. We'll be in full support if somebody wants to take it all the way. We're going to be in full support if somebody never even wants to get out on stage and they just want to learn how to track macros. We just want to be able to use our knowledge to educate as many people as we possibly can, no matter the goal. And of course, like it is really fun. Like I love that we can, and Dylan and I just had this conversation. So like he was trying to get his pro card for a while, still hasn't gotten it yet. And kind of having the realization, like, I think we're placed here to help others achieve that goal. Maybe that doesn't necessarily mean that, I mean, of course I want him to, we're still manifesting that, but I know that I think that we're meant to be here to educate, teach, and support so many more people and have more of a reach that way.
Best of luck in your mission. And, I certainly hope that, when we do look back, things are going to be better. And I think they will be because of, people like yourself and others out there in the industry who are doing their best. So I appreciate it.
Well, you too for talking to as many, different walks of life and personalities and, putting that out there on a public platform, so you're doing exactly that too.
I appreciate you saying that. And if you want to share any socials or any websites or any thing that's coming up or anything like that you want to share, you can go ahead and do that.
Okay, sure. So my Instagram is at fitness1st_IFBB Pro. And then our team page is at Bair Aesthetics. And then we also have at manifested_lifestyle. That's that clothing company. I will be laying low for the next month because having a baby. So
Very exciting.
so she is making her appearance next month, which is crazy.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. It's been good. I'm sad that I can't travel because, like you said, I love traveling. But it'll be good. I need to just lay low a little bit.
Well, that's the beginning of another journey and another generation to impact right there.
Right, right. I know. We're ready for it though. It'll be a shift, but you know, we want to integrate her into our life, not let it affect or change anything too much.
Yeah. Well, like I said, best of luck and congratulations. And that's awesome. You know,
Thank you. This was fun.
If you're tired of searching for a coach or trainer, somebody who knows what they're talking about and has experience, make sure you go check out the new Coach's Corner on weightroompodcast.com. You can find quality, qualified coaches to help you achieve your goals, whether that's in bodybuilding or just general fitness. Stop wasting time and start achieving your goals today. The link to the Coach's Corner is down in the description below.